It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
But Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Gonna be held tight, well now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT. Heat of the night on TNT. Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have 'em some fun, 'cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight, come on up in the ring. You wanna be held tight, just about anything can happen in the heat of the night on TNT. Hubba, 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 heat of the night on TNT. Yeah.
Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now, behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are live. We are
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show
on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Manic Monday. It's the old Alan Autry show. Excuse me. I know I cough a lot in here, but it's allergy season here at Fresno. And the last couple of years, I have developed it. Before that, nothing. I mean, no effect on me whatsoever. Last couple of years, I'm coughing, eyes getting red, watery, the whole shebang. Thank goodness for folks like Dr. Boz here, keeping folks functioning with all the allergies going around here in San Joaquin Valley. But I would not live anyplace else. I love Fresno. When I say that, people kind of look at me like that dog who actually turns his head to the side. I love Fresno, huh? Why? Because I just love it. It's my adopted home, and I feel not only happy to live here, I feel privileged. I feel privileged they'll have me any place. After 8 years of mayor, there's a lot of places that won't have you. You make some decisions, raise sewer connection fees, man, raise a utility rate fee. You're not on the party list much anymore. A lot of these politicians are finding that out at the local, state, and federal level. But so happy to have you with us. KXEX 1550 broadcasting here from Manchester Center. Jeremy's in the studio here. It's just him and me, young and old, the alpha, the omega, the beginning of the end. I'll let you know. One guess who's the end. It's me, brother. I'm closer to the end than you are. But we want to thank Jeremy. He keeps everything going here. Okay, I got my notes here. And I'm kind of hemming and hawing here at the opening of the show, still debating whether I'm going to talk about the subject I have written down. I've been thinking about doing it for, ever since the show started. And I think I may do it today. I'm not trying to be mysterious. It's just that, it's kind of some private thoughts, private incidents, private not private to me, stuff I wouldn't normally talk about in dealings as mayor, especially when it involves a fellow by the name of Donald Trump. I was saving some of that for my book on the sector of public service section of the book. But I think I might go ahead and relate this story because it connects to what's going on today with him and kind of might explain the stance I have taken regarding him being put through the ringer, if you will, by this cabal of the press, this far left Democrats, and the weaponized administration that we have right now. And I'm not one of those going to say that the Republicans don't do that as well. But as the saying goes, two wrongs don't make a right. And I will never defend a wrong, regardless of a political affiliation. I'm a registered independent, and I like to think that way. I like to conduct my life that way. That's just the way I was raised, to make up my own mind about things. Don't judge people on what I've heard. Get to know an individual before you make your mind up on whether you like them or not. You want to bring them into your circle of friends or keep them at a distance and make up your own mind. But anyway, I'm going to think more about it here, and either today or tomorrow I'll have made up my mind. I may go into it today. I don't know. Again, not trying to tease something. It's just I'm kind of conflicted on this. But I think more and more as time goes by with this indictment, I feel compelled to let you all know at least why I'm taking the position that I've taken, which I think it's absolutely a unbelievably horrific, unpatriotic act that goes against everything we stand for as Americans and the rule of law. And just because it happens to be Donald Trump that this is happening to, a lot of people tend to think that's acceptable to have two tiers of justice, two standards of which you apply the law. And I don't think that's good. And I think those folks who say that they don't believe in that either, but fully think that it's fine what's happening to Trump. We're totally fine with it not happening to Hillary Clinton and all the other presidents that took home documents. If you're going to get this guy, get him on something substantive. You can't. I'm not downplaying sensitive document aspect. They're sensitive and they're top secret for a reason. But to say we're going to put all the eggs in that one basket, and it seems to be the only basket that you have because he's went through 2 impeachments. His enemies like to say, yeah, been through 2 history being made. First time a president's been impeached twice. Well, yeah, but it's the first time a president's been exonerated twice as well. That's left out. You have the Mueller report coming out saying that charges probably should have never been brought in terms of the Russian collusion, and so on and so on. And then you look at, again, I'm using Hillary Clinton because it's the most recent example of some of these same offenses. And there's a total disregard for application of the law to the extent it's being applied to Trump. So I've taken a stand against that, but I think the story I'm going to tell about Trump, my dealings with him for nearly a year, I dealt with him pretty regularly, him, Ivanka, and Michael Cohen on a project they were going to try to do here in Fresno. And again, it might surprise you, but we're going to put that issue over there for a while, and just want to go through a series of things. Just, I guess Monday we're going to call it arts. I haven't had an art class in a while, Jeremy. Art stands for Autry's Random Thoughts, just stuff that goes through my head here, and so it's a good day to do that. Guillermo won't be in; he had a flat tire, so I hope he gets that done quickly and fixed on his Tesla. Is that right? Tesla? Yeah. Well, I guess Teslas get flat tires like everybody else. I thought it was, you can't run those tires on computers. Everything else, you open up the hood of the Tesla, nothing there. It's all run by computer, which still makes me kind of nervous. But did you see, everybody's up in arms. Not everybody, but people I'm surprised would give this story any kind of legs, or continue to give it legs, and that is this Las Vegas alien encounter that happened, or purportedly happened. I guess a couple of old boys were just minding their business watching TV in Las Vegas, and they looked out in their backyard. I guess they heard something out there, and they looked back. They see 2, as they described, 8 to 10 foot aliens, and to quote them, definitely not human, with 2 big old eyes and a big old mouth, greenish looking, just staring at them. And they freaked out. They called 911. Cops came out. And the plot thickens on the way out there. The cops recounted that they saw a green light flashing through the sky about the time, as they estimated, a little bit before the call came in, as did some others in Las Vegas saw the green light. So they get there, and the cop said, hey, guys seem like they're telling the truth. Well, we looked outside. There's no sign of the aircraft having crashed. There's no disruption of foliage in the backyard. There's basically nothing there. So they just dropped it, filed the report. Well, now they've gone back and put up video cameras there for the guys. I guess the guys are still freaked out, and the police department. I know a lot of people may have hear prowlers in their backyard, and there's actually somebody back there, and they would say, boy, it'd be nice to have a security system back there, but they can't afford it. Can't afford to put it in. They can't afford the monthly cost. With actual threats back there. Not saying that these aliens are not real threats. But the police department apparently went in and installed it on the police's dime. So I'm trying to figure that out. A couple levels, it doesn't make sense. I mean, how are you gonna pick this story of aliens in the backyard? So you're gonna spend government tax money, people in Las Vegas, to buy a security system for these folks, but not for the other folks that had their houses broken in, their houses ransacked. You're not going to pay for them. But on that level, I got a little problem with that. But on the other level, if you really did see 10-foot tall, real ugly, scary, green aliens staring ominously through the window at you. What good is a video camera going to do? Police department. I'd say I'd be the first one to the store grabbing an AR-15. I'd grab me a couple of grenades. I would bring myself a couple of big old long machetes. What good is a video camera going to do if you're that scared? And I would be. You know, I have never seen 10-foot tall green aliens other than my drug days at University Pacific in 1972, and now in my drinking days, I may have saw a lot of crazy things then in my mind. But anyway, I just think it's so silly, and even Guillermo gets on me here. And people that are really smart people say, you don't believe that there's aliens out there, and I just don't. We're alone. I know that's a concept that people don't want to hear, but we have zero proof of any kind that there's anything remotely resembling the life that we would call life out there. We have some most powerful telescopes that are still flying out into outer space, discovering new galaxies. It seems like every day. Still no sign of life. Quite the opposite. What you're seeing is a bunch of desolation. Just nothing out there. So I don't know. I'm going to stay my ground. I'm not afraid of them. It doesn't give me goosebumps. It gets absolutely zero reaction from me. You know what worries me more? The double-digit inflation, and we keep printing more money. That's going to kill you before an alien. Okay? Now, an out-of-control, hurtling through space asteroid, we have a history of that on Earth. That's what did the old dinosaurs in. That can be proven. Okay, I'm a little concerned about that. But I'm concerned about, my son was just telling me today 3 more women got assaulted on the subway in New York last night. 1 dead, 2 others slashed. You got more to worry about than that, than 10-foot tall green aliens. In Las Vegas, I'm telling these guys, look, I would be worried about getting addicted to gambling, to roulette, than these guys if they were ever there coming back again. And also, that is the home, if you've seen some of these shows where they do this virtual reality projection stuff. Somebody could have got up there and did one of those things. That might have happened. I mean, you can get some guys out there that do those shows with their special effects. They can make Elvis come back to life. You look up on stage, you see it. It's a hologram. That's what word I was doing. Holograms. But I feel very safe in saying this. And I normally put a disclaimer, is I'll never say something with certainty unless I know for sure to be true. There's a lot of gray area in life. So I'm very cautious before I make absolutes. I'll make them. But I feel really, really secure that I'm feeling 100% that it is the way I'm going to put it forth is. And I can tell you, there is no space people. There's no flying saucers. There is no space 10-foot tall aliens. There's no 3-foot tall aliens that resemble life. Now, may we find some kind of single cell creature doing the backstroke in some primordial swamp on some planet galaxies away. Maybe. But you look at all the events that had to take place for life to form here. The planet, for one thing, is hanging out of nothing in space, which is a miracle. The sun had to be just where it is right now, or we would burn up. If it's just a little further away, we'd freeze to death. If the moon wasn't hanging exactly where it is now, after the Big Bang, this is what settled in. The Earth, where it is, the sun exactly where it is, the moon where it is. Still don't understand gravity. Neither do the scientists. They don't know what it is. It's called gravity. They don't even know what energy is. You realize that? They don't know what energy is. They name it, they see it, they see what happened. They don't know what it is. They don't know its source. But we know what it is God. And now I get to my point. I've gone through that Bible, read it back and forth, not as much as I should, but I've read it a lot back and forth. And many times it's in the back of my head, is there some hint that there's other beings, other children of God, habitating other planets in the solar system? And I see nothing that even could be construed as that. Now, you want to go off and make additions to the Bible or assumptions or theories, you can do that. I have a lot of Mormon friends. I'm a Christian. I don't share that faith. I respect them in their faith. Now, from what I understand, they believe once you die as a man, you get to have your own planet and you go and you populate that planet. That's what I understand. For my Mormon friends out there, if I'm wrong on that, just please let me know. That's your belief. But that's the afterlife. I don't subscribe to that. I don't see that in the Bible either. But again, I respect all things. I happen to believe one God, a Christian. We have one Savior, Jesus Christ. So unless I get more evidence and more substantive evidence than two guys see two 10-foot tall green people that there is no sign of, I'm going to have to stay in the position I am. And I know people think I'm closed-minded, some folks, because and normally, like I said, I don't make statements like this often. I always leave, a little crevice in the door open to change my mind. And I understand it frustrates people, frustrates good friends of mine. They'll look at me straight and I go, "You mean to tell me, Autry, you don't believe there's even a remote chance, just a remote chance, that there's life on other planets that we could be visited by aliens and either in the past, now, or in the future?" And I look at them and say, absolutely not. There is zero chance. Hey, it's not driving me crazy that they believe what they do, that they believe in 10-foot tall green men and believe that we're going to be invaded someday by aliens much smarter than we are. And maybe they are. If their aliens are much smarter than we are, because you know what? They don't want anywhere near us. They don't want to see. They may have visited here. They don't want to leave any trail where we can get to them. They see how we screwed up Earth. We will never see them. Don't want any part of that, Dad. Oh, gosh. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. I'm still mulling whether to tell this Trump story. Probably Jeremy should do it in 2 or 3 parts, like a Netflix series. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Anyway, I'm not trying to tease y'all. I'm just, I am still a little bit of struggle, but I'm leaning one direction. I think you know what that is. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back.
How can you set yourself down for a rest when you know that I'm burning my hand?
Hey, Jeremy, if a flying saucer landed near you or about where you live and said, "Hey, you can come with us. We're going to show you some most amazing things in the universe. Thing is that you can't come back." Would you go with them?
Nope.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I got friends that said they would. I did, and they meant it too. One of them had a wife and kids, and he loves his wife and kids, but he said it'd be too tempting.
But you can't come back.
That's the point.
Especially if you got a wife and kids.
Yeah. He told me, nah, they'd understand. No, that was the answer, seriously. I mean, the thought of getting in that spacecraft and going to the unknown was so appealing to him. Now, I got to admit, I love Star Trek. I love the thought of interplanetary travel and all that stuff. But you know what kind of freaks me out? And my good buddy Pete Meha shared the same, is the concept of infinity. When you just think about it, forever, there's no ending. So, well, don't you want to be in heaven? Absolutely, I want to be in heaven. And when I get to heaven, he'll take that fear. It's not fear. It's just like the big wow. Man, I can't wrap even a centimeter of my mind around that concept.
something going on for there's a beginning and an end to everything, right? Something begins and it has an ending. Not space, not time, infinite forever. But God lives in a different dimension than we do. And we're going to be able to experience that with him.
1 minute. Thirty seconds. Ten seconds.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. And continue with the old art class. Autry's random thoughts here before I delve or don't delve into my Donald Trump story, into why I have the position I have on him dealing with his indictment. Did you happen to see, sports fans, the last game between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat? I tell you, on this show, if you've listened at all, I have very little sympathy for the complaining, the whining, the selfishness of a lot of these pro athletes. I picked on, not picked on, I just think, better words, called out people like LeBron James in particular, who won't stand up to China because of his deal with Nike and goes after brave police officers all the time for racial prejudice that does not exist. I'm not saying there isn't racial prejudice on police force, but the instance I'm talking about clearly did not involve racial prejudice, racism, or discrimination. But I, in general, think, how can you not be spoiled making millions of, let's take the NBA, for example, 15 guys on the team. The minimum contract there, I believe, is over $1 million. It's minimum. In the NFL, when I played, didn't even have a minimum contract. I topped out at $38,000 a year. That was for a quarterback in the National Football League. I played like I was worth about $10,000, if that. But that's neither here nor there. But this game, I watched the Nuggets, in particular fourth quarter, it was the whole game. The Nuggets were up 3-1. So they're looking to close out the series. First championship in 46 years. And the Miami Heat were trying to stave off elimination. They're down 3-1. They could have phoned it in because Denver is loaded, a loaded basketball team. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, they just have solid 1 through 15. Just a great team, much deeper than the Jimmy Butler led Miami Heat. But they went at it for a full game, all 4 quarters, playing like they were running 100 miles an hour with their hair on fire, that their life depended on it. It was unbelievable basketball and so entertaining. They hustled till they couldn't go anymore, and they weren't asking to be taken out. Loose balls would go on the floor, and you saw these multi-millionaires diving for the ball like they do in high school. They would get up and just give every ounce of energy, contested every shot on defense, drove to the middle, took elbows to the face, blood everywhere. Nobody wanted to come out of that game. At the end of the game, the Nuggets put the Heat away. But I sat there and I went, wow. I had never seen NBA basketball the way it could be. Because you have the most talented basketball players in the world, arguably, there in the National Basketball Association. And when you get to the finals of the NBA, you assume that you have two of the best teams. Sometimes it's two of the best teams. In this case, you had the best team by analysis, the Nuggets, and an overachieving team, the Miami Heat. But I just want to say kudos because it brought me back. I used to love the NBA. Back when Jerry West played, back when Larry Bird played, Irvin Magic Johnson, Bill Russell, they played 100% all the time. And over the course of time, you see these players, they get a hangnail. They're on the disabled list for 2 weeks. They're making tons of money. They're arrogant, many of them, not all of them, but enough to make you look at the thing and say, do I really want to watch this game? A bunch of just spoiled millionaires going at half speed. Excuse me. I mean, the All-Star game is a joke. They used to play the All-Star game meant something. Now they don't. Nobody plays defense. I think the final score is like 176 to 170. It's last All-Star game. But that game, on a 3-1 series, it wasn't a seventh game with all the marbles, a 3-1 game, when you least expected, I got my fandom back to the NBA. And part of the reason is these two guys, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, and Jimmy Butler on the Heat. They were just throwbacks. Anyway, I just want to tip my hat. I do a lot of criticizing on rich pro athletes, probably because I was a pro athlete, but I wasn't a rich one. Probably some jealousy in there somewhere. Not too hard to find. But I get past the jealousy, and I think most folks would agree. You don't always get the best effort when you go see a baseball game, a football game, a professional basketball game. You spend so much money in there. And at the end of the game, it's like 2 minutes to go. I'm just picking on basketball, but it's true in baseball and football. Not as much baseball. But they just pack it in. Well, we can't win. They don't even play defense. They don't even do anything. They just kind of hang out there, go half speed. And I came from the era that you played hard till that final gun goes off in the fourth quarter in football, till that last out in a baseball game, till that last second ticks off the clock in a basketball game. Excuse me. And you know where you don't see that? That giving up is soccer. You don't see that. I don't like soccer, but you see them go 100% all the time. They're pretty well paid too. So I never thought I could say this, but American athletes in our professional sports could learn a lot from those soccer players. And they could also learn a lot. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So sorry, folks. I'll tell you, it's those allergies. But they could learn a lot from Nikola Jokic, the Joker, Jamal Murray, Porter, that kid, the forward for the Nuggets, the Miami Heat, Duncan, the forward they had on the team. I mean, anyway, way to go, both of those teams. All right, another little tidbit here. Guillermo and I talked about last week about Gavin Newsom, our governor here, the possibility of him being a candidate for president. And if he decided to, would he be a formidable candidate for president? We both agreed he would, because he comes from the Democratic Party. They have a great machine behind them. They lie. They do whatever it takes by any means necessary. But you got to tip your hat. It's an ugly, bloody, dirty business, politics, and they play the game better than the Republicans. It might be blurring the lines of the Constitution to have drop boxes after COVID, but they're going to put it out there until some court tells them they can't. They're just going to use everything at their disposal. So they get the edge, even if you have a bad record in your state like Newsom. But if you talk well like Newsom does, you can spin things like Newsom can. He can convince you, many people, not you, not me, but sadly a lot of people, almost all of them Democratic Party, but many independents. He's so smooth. He could tell you that big fireball up in the sky at noon is the moon instead of the sun. Now, of course, I'm being a little exaggerating a little bit, not much. He could tell you that the state, $45 billion in debt, is actually chugging right along economically. That deficit really isn't a deficit. They don't really have an immigration crisis. They really don't have or we don't have a water crisis. He has a spin for everything. And I watched him and I said, would that spin work against Nikki Haley in a debate? The answer was yes, it would. I don't think she's would have enough ammo to fight back against his slickness, his ability to regurgitate information. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. It sounds good and he looks good. Okay? And pretty much that's all it takes nowadays to get people's votes. Too many people. Would he be able to do the same thing to Mike Pence? Absolutely. He would run circles around Mike Pence. Do I think Mike Pence is a better candidate? Yes. Will I vote for Nikki Haley over Newsom? Yes. But in the debate, he would win. Newsom would win. You go Tim Scott. Tim would hold his own. I think going up against Newsom, hold his own. Maybe a little bit better than hold his own, but enough to stop Newsom from getting those fence sitters that really want to vote Democrat, but are so fed up that if you don't get somebody other than Biden, I'm going over here. I don't want to, but I'm going to go to the Republican Party if it's not Trump. Would Newsom be the guy that would help them stay in the fold? Yes. He would do that well enough against Tim Scott. Then you come to Ron DeSantis. Now, Trump's got the record. Newsom doesn't have the record. I think Trump would run out of one-liners. He's just not articulate enough. I think it would be, I think Newsom would, in front of unbiased people really judging that knew what they're talking about and were really honest, to judge policy first, if those two got together, you would give the edge to Trump. But if you're just looking for a candidate to let you in good conscience vote Democratic, it would be, he could, I think, come across in a debate against Trump well enough to do that. Then you have DeSantis. Here's where he runs in trouble, Newsom. DeSantis is as smart, if not smarter, than Newsom. He can absorb and process information and retrieve it from his mind as good, if not better, than Newsom. He has the track record in Florida that Newsom doesn't have in California. And he's got a real nasty at sometimes acerbic wit about him. He is very, very quick on his feet. For example, Newsom came out of the chute calling DeSantis a small, pathetic man. Well, DeSantis didn't give it the dignity of reacting early on. But he was asked at a press conference the other day about the Hannity interview, which Newsom criticized DeSantis again. DeSantis took a beat, grabbed the podium. He knows that body language is talking as well, because you communicate not just with words. Body language, it can communicate even more than words. You learn that in acting. It's why Reagan was so good. Yeah, his words were inspiring, but his body language. He took that body language pose, and he says, the governor has really big problems in California. I mean, he's got some really big problems that, quite frankly, he needs to focus on. But if you must get out and debate and you want to say things like this, then get in the race. Declare your candidacy for presidency. And until then, stop chirping from the sidelines. I mean, he couldn't have picked a better word. No, stop chirping from the sidelines. And that's exactly what, and suddenly now Newsom is on the defense. Nobody puts Newsom on the defensive. He's got to address that. Well, I'm going to still criticize on a national scale. I know it's wildfire season here, and I should be focusing on making sure hundreds of people don't die like they have under my administration, continue to die from wildfires. We know we got an economy here that's fallen apart. We got people leaving for the first time in history, the state of California, to go someplace else. He's got to justify that. Why going after DeSantis, a governor completely across the United States from you, why you're letting that governor rent space inside your head And it's looking like that it's a rent to own in Newsom's head. And DeSantis is just too good. It's like the Nuggets up against the Heat. The Nuggets are Ron DeSantis. He just got too much talent. He's got the record. They were the top record in the NBA. The Miami Heat, they had a winning record, but barely. Had a lot of problems that were exposed on defense and offense by the Nuggets. The Nuggets exposed them, and they did it with such a poise that you said, "Man, wow, that's team." I'll tell you one thing: I'm going to place a small bet on them to repeat the Denver Nuggets. So the old adage, "You better be careful what you wish for; you might get it," I think could be some useful advice for our governor Newsom. He insists he's not running. He says Joe Biden is cognitively perfect. So he's definitely looks like jockeying either to be a VP, to get known like Reagan got known early on to the whole country, and then run at a later date. But I think there may be a move to enlist Governor Newsom to run, and that would be an interesting matchup. Again, Trump's way out in front, so we don't know if we'll see that or not. But anyway, I'm convinced that a debate, and the reason it's so interesting, Hannity has issued a challenge to both Newsom and DeSantis to go one-on-one for 2 hours with Hannity moderating. He'll bring somebody else in, he said, that would satisfy Newsom, and go at it. I think DeSantis and Newsom is accepted. I believe DeSantis should accept it. Absolutely. Because he has to have something that makes him relevant, a boost. His announcement, there was the Twitter screw up. He can't get any traction out there to show who he is, why he's the best guy on a big stage. He needs this before the debates, the Republican debates. And he has to take the chance that he can score a knockout, over Newsom. So my encouragement is that he take that challenge, and I think he will. I think he will. I'm going on record thinking he'll take that. That will be, as they say, must-see TV. Okay, we want to take a quick break right now. And we come back, maybe we'll start part one of the Trump Autry story. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back. I'll be right back, folks.
35 seconds. Ten seconds.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. It's Manic Monday. A few more minutes left in the show. Okay. Trump Autry story. Our intersection in life. Dadgummit. I hate to begin it. Well, I just got to stop that. Okay. All right. We'll start it now. I won't be able to finish it, but we can finish it on Taco Tuesday. I'm just looking up at the monitor here, but I think they're still trying to decode President Biden's "God Save the Queen" remark. Trying to figure out what the heck was. I just saw that the other day. I guess it was totally out of place there. Trying to figure that out. Let me tell you something. You're not going to hear me criticize or make fun of Joe Biden's age in a mean way. I make fun of my own old age in a playful way. But you just get mean and laugh like falls off a bike and stuff. Yeah, even he laughed about that. But, the cognitive decline, there's too many people that happens in their own family, grandpa, grandma, and it could happen to you listening out there someday, those who think that those remarks are really hilarious about the effects of aging. So I can compartmentalize that and say, I'm not going to go there. Feel good about that and still say, look, is a discussion that is not only valid, but must be talked about. We're talking about, is he capable of leading the country? Is his age a factor in being able to, function in the rigorous schedule that the President of the United States has to keep up with? And if you reduce that schedule, say, well, you just don't do as many things. Well, in today's world, you got to do a lot of things. You got to go a lot of places. There's only so many times you can send your representative to send Blinken to China or what have you, which is another story I want to talk about this week. But you're not gonna hear me. This "God Save the Queen" thing. I hope it's just something that has a logical thing. He just lost track. I don't know. It's bottom line is, you may want me to, be a part of that bandwagon because it's funny to do it. I watch the Gutfeld show sometimes. I'm never going to be a Gutfeld type individual. They take turns on there just taking pot shots at this president. And would they laugh if they taking pot shots like that at Reagan when he was declining in his last couple of years in office? Say he had Reagan pretty good too. And this was my political role model, Ronald Reagan. It would have hurt. And and some folks on the left tried to go after him, but it was quelled. It was quelled because it wasn't the right thing to do. There was a general accepted code of conduct, things you'd said and didn't say, that was shared by both Democrats and Republicans. And one of those was you just didn't go out and exploit and really, really harshly make fun of somebody's cognitive. Now, you're a comedian, you earn your living that way, you get a pass. You're a comic, nothing's off limits, go for it. But you just won't hear a mean-spirited falling off the bike. I think even old Joe would have laughed about that. Making some of the, faux pas that he does within taste. I may make a joke about it. Okay. I think I've probably beaten that horse to death here. Okay. One thing you learn in public speaking is not public stinking. I've done that a little bit too. Is you got to watch the ands and the uhs, And we do it here. And then when he said, if I understand that. This subject is something that, again, I've been debating whether to do it or not. And I don't normally fight that battle. And I know I'm beating it like a dead horse now. But made my decision. I'm going to start it today. Okay. And I'm not going to look back. I'm going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, even the ugly truth. And then hopefully you will understand a little more, a little better, why I've taken the position that I've taken with Donald Trump and what he's facing with these indictments and this whole conspiracy. There's no other way to put it. On the left, the woke left, to go take him out from the moment he announced his candidacy in 2016 or 2015. Okay, about in 2008, I was in my actually, it was at the end of 2007, right at the beginning of 2008. I was in my last months of my mayorship here in the city of Fresno. Got about a little over a year to go. And I was in a gym working out in the morning, and I got a call from our city manager at the time, Andy Souza. And Andy, I said, hey, Andy. He said, Alan, he says, are you sitting down? I said, no, I'm doing a bench press, actually. He says, well, sit down. I said, well, that's where I'm sitting doing the bench press. I'm fine. He goes, okay. He says, there's been a meeting request for you. I said, yeah, okay. What is it? You haven't been around the bush. He goes, Donald Trump wants to meet you. And I let out the biggest laugh. Yeah, okay, that's funny. You know, who's the next one? Maybe Tom Cruise. I mean, and he says, no, I'm serious. Donald Trump is coming to Fresno, and he wants to meet you. He's interested in building a golf course out in southwest Fresno, which is one of our poorest, continues to be one of our poorest sections of our city, predominantly people of color, African American, Hispanic. And there was a project going there called Running Horse. And it was a combination golf course and housing project. And we were hoping that it would work. It would totally revitalize Southwest Fresno. We run into a lot of snags. And people that were leading it were a little iffy, a little shady on the background, but they had done a lot of their homework and had already overcome quite a few hurdles. One of the hurdles was to get a okay from the PGA to make Running Horse part of the PGA Tour if it was completed. Well, that was a big thing. So apparently, Trump was reading Golf Digest, read about this project in Fresno, and had run into some snags and wanted to talk about it. So I said, okay, absolutely. Well, about a week later, there's a meeting at City Hall. Into City Hall comes Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, and a fellow named Michael Cohen, his attorney. And they proceeded to outline their vision for Running Horse, how they were going to invest tens of millions of dollars, totally invest in the community in a myriad of ways. And just wanted the city to be on their side. And I said, well, absolutely. I think that's a great vision. But I was the one that brought it up. I have to just alert you. I don't know if this is going to affect your thinking or your commitment to doing this project, but we cannot afford to give you any city money from our general fund. We just can't afford it. People remember back then, we were in the middle of a financial downturn, financial crisis. The dot-com bubble had burst. Housing prices were starting to go down big time. Economy was really, really rough, and our tax receipts went down. And then philosophically, there was only so much I was going to go in terms of helping them, and I would help them. And I made a big commitment to them. I said, look, we can't have any money from the general fund. No, sir, Mr. Mayor. Both Trump, all three of them, would never think about taking city money. I said, now you have to understand this. No situation can change this. Nothing from the general fund. But we understand. Check for understanding at the end of the meeting for a third time. They understood. I said, now, what we can do is that we, as a city, we'll put in the infrastructure. I think I can sell that to the council and the community, meaning you agree to put all the money into the project. You create all the jobs, make this beautiful golf course. You build a lot of homes around there. That's a win for us. We can't do that. You can. But we'll put in curbs, gutters, sidewalks, roads improvements. We'll put several $1 million in there for the project, in infrastructure, water, whatever needed. The city will partner with you on that. That's all we need. That's all we need. That's all that we were looking for. And I said, well, if that's all you're looking for, and we agree on those other points of no ask from the general fund, then I'm on board. Let's go make this thing happen. Well, for the next, 6-7 months, it was back and forth. We had to go negotiate with owners of the different parcels. And Michael Cohen, right off the bat, just said, go eminent domain it. Eminent domain means you just go take it from them. You give them a fair market value. It could be the home they've lived in for all their life. It doesn't matter. Eminent domain. I said, well, Michael, this is not New York. It's Fresno. And eminent domain is not something that's going to be a first resort for me. Let's see if we can negotiate it. All right, Mr. Mayor. Remember like it was yesterday. They wouldn't negotiate. Well, there's the music. I'm going to leave you hanging. We started to negotiate, and that's when it began. That's when the unraveling began of this project. But the twists and turns, well, you wouldn't believe it. You're going to have to wait until tomorrow and Wednesday for part 2 of Autry, Trump, and why I have the position I have today on his indictment. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. God bless America. Just do your best and let God do the rest. And I promise you it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Bye-bye now.
Just sing a song.